Don't forget to like and subscribe.
As you just saw from the intro, or because you clicked on the video, we are talking about sleep paralysis, shadow people, and the Hat Man. If you've never experienced sleep paralysis, consider yourself lucky. I want you to imagine waking up in your own bed, completely conscious, but pinned to the mattress by an invisible weight. You can't scream, you can't blink, and then you realize you aren't alone. Out of the corner of your eye, the shadows start to move. While the internet has turned sleep paralysis into a viral phenomenon, the phenomenon itself is ancient. We have records of this waking nightmare dating back centuries. In 1664, a Dutch physician documented cases of what he called the incubus or the nightmare. Long before we had a clinical name for it, he captured the raw, suffocating reality of the experience in his case histories. In the nighttime, when she was composing herself to sleep, sometimes she believed the devil lay upon her and held her down. Sometimes that she was choked by a great dog or the thief lying upon her chest, so that she could hardly speak or breathe. And when she endeavored to throw off the burthen, she was not able to stir her members. And while she was in that strife, sometimes with great difficulty, she awoke of herself, sometimes her husband hearing her make a doleful, inarticulate voice. Now we have a devil holding you down, a thief, a great dog in the room. Sounds like a horror movie, but in 1664, that was the only way to describe the sheer weight of the experience. For those of us living in the 21st century, the reality is a bit more clinical, but no less terrifying. Essentially, sleep paralysis is a glitch where you're stuck between sleep phases. Your brain wakes up, but your body stays in lockdown mode. You're fully aware of your surroundings, but you're a passenger in your own skin. You can't move a muscle or utter a sound. The only things you still control, your eyes and your breath. In this state, you aren't just awake, you're trapped. And that's when the panic sets in. The reason you can't move is actually a safety feature. It's called muscle atonia. When you enter REM sleep, the stage where dreaming happens, your brain sends out a signal to paralyze your arms and legs. It's a biological lockdown designed to protect you. Without it, your body would physically react to everything happening in your head. And let's be honest, nobody wants to wake up because they're reenacting a mosh pit from Warped Tour 2008. But what happens when that lockdown doesn't lift you up as you wake up? Well, that's where the safety feature becomes, well, a nightmare. During REM sleep, your midbrain enters a state of hypervigilance. It's basically your survival instinct on overdrive, scanning for threats that aren't there. And that's where the paranoia comes from. Your brain is wide awake and terrified, but it can't find a reason why. So it starts looking for patterns in the dark. This is why you feel that horror or dread wash over you. While scientists haven't found a single reason that causes these episodes, the list of risk factors is extensive. Anxiety, poor sleep, alcohol, past trauma, or just plain old genetics. Basically, the risk factors for sleep paralysis are just the standard symptoms of, living. Around 20% of people have an episode of sleep paralysis, at least occasionally, and of those people, as many as 75% suffer hallucinations, according to the Seattle-based Sleep Foundation. Sleep paralysis does occur in certain populations, ethics, and cultural groups. In a survey conducted among Chinese adolescents, sleep paralysis was found to be higher in the rural areas compared to the urban settlements. Reports also support the fact that the highest rate of sleep paralysis is found among individuals with an African and Asian descent. The occurrence of sleep paralysis in the general population is about 8%, 28% in students, and 32% in psychiatric patients. Doesn't matter where you live or what you believe, when the brain glitches, the monsters come out to play. Now, this is where things start to feel less clinical and a lot more creepy. Across every culture, every age group, and every century, the hallucinations aren't random. People are seeing the same thing. Shadow people. Figures made of darkness standing in the corner of the room, or looming directly over the bed. But what are they? The concept of shadow figures can be traced back to various religious beliefs, legends, and folklore. These silhouettes are theorized to be anything from displaced ghosts to interdimensional travelers slipping through the cracks of our reality. And of course, because it's the internet, someone somewhere is going to tell you that it's at least aliens. I seriously can't go a topic without these guys showing up. But whether they are visitors from another planet, demons, or ghosts, the accounts remain chillingly consistent. Recorded hallucinations of sleep paralysis tend to mimic and evolve with the time period. So, Victorian-era reports featured vampires and skeletal figures. In the 1600s, it was witches and soul-stealing incubi. And you've probably seen the famous 1781 painting by Henry Fuseli, The Nightmare. It perfectly captures that suffocation we talked about, with a literal demon perched on a woman's chest as she lies paralyzed. But look closer at all of these historical accounts, and you'll find one terrifying constant that refuses to change. People were still seeing the shadow people. What if the fear we feel isn't because they're evil? What if it's because they're stuck? There's a theory that suggests these shadow figures are actually trapped ghosts, spirits who haven't accepted that their time is over. In this version of the story, they aren't monsters at all. They're just stuck. They don't have faces, clothes, or features because they haven't embraced their new reality yet. They're effectively cut off from the light most spirits are supposed to encounter, leaving them as nothing more than a silhouette of who they used to be. When you feel that weight on your chest during an episode, this theory suggests that it isn't malice. It's just the sheer heavy sadness of a soul stuck in limbo, refusing to move on. It's not a haunting, it's a tragedy. What's not depressing though are demons.
Hey there, demons, it's me, your boy.
For many, there is nothing lost or sad about these figures. Instead, there is a cold, calculated malice. Witnesses often report a specific kind of dread, a certainty that they are in the presence of something that was never human. Whether you call it a glitch or a demon, the result's still the same. You're awake, you are helpless, and something is hunting you in one place you're supposed to be safe. But there is a theory that goes beyond just scary and into the territory of truly deadly. Imagine these entities don't just want to watch you. Imagine they want to replace you. This theory suggests that shadow people are entities living in the in-between. They are hunters waiting for that precise, vulnerable window where you are neither fully awake nor asleep. If they can reach you before you wake up, they don't just scare you, they snatch your body up. It's the same terrifying concept for the 2010 film Insidious. Your consciousness is pushed out into the void, leaving your physical body behind like an unlocked car with the engine running. In that moment of paralysis, you're fighting for the keys to your own life. And of course, we have aliens. Some believe these shadows are actually aliens, specifically alien beings in the fourth dimension who are already here, standing right beside us, separated only by the thin veil of reality. Now, it's a lot to go into for this video, and honestly, fourth dimensional physics is a rabbit hole for an entirely different topic. But regardless of whether they are aliens, travelers, or glitches, the accounts always lead back to the same terrifying hierarchy. Because among the aimless shadows and the flickering silhouettes, there is one figure who stands taller, more defined, and infinitely more terrifying than the rest. Enter the Hat Man. He has a silhouette that is unmistakable, a tall, imposing figure standing anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall, draped in a heavy trench coat and topped with a distinct wide-brimmed fedora. Sometimes witnesses describe 2 burning pinpricks of red where his eyes should be, but even without the eyes, the effect is still the same, an immediate, soul-crushing wave of dread. Now, Hatman really surfaced in the late 2000s, spreading across message boards and social media like a digital virus. People, hundreds of miles apart, with no connection to one another, all began reporting the same exact visitor, a man in a hat, standing at the foot of the bed, just watching. The thing about Hatman is that he just kind of lurks there and doesn't really do anything else. I mean, some have said that he lingers over them and watches, but for the most part, he is a benign entity, or at least so far he is. But here's where the Hat Man separates himself from the rest of the shadows. He doesn't just wait for you to fall asleep. Unlike typical sleep paralysis hallucinations, people have reported seeing this tall, hatted figure while they are wide awake. He's standing in hallways, lurking in backyards, or even watching from the edge of the woods. As for what he is, well, he fits into every theory we've kind of discussed. He could be a demon, he could be a ghost, he could be an interdimensional traveler. But there's one specific modern reason why his face, or lack thereof, has become a household name in the world of the supernatural. And it involves a very strange, very real connection to something sitting right in your medicine cabinet. The common denominator that has popped up again and again in the Hat Man saga is taking diphenhydramine before going to sleep. This is better known to most as Benadryl, and is also the active ingredient in dozens of over-the-counter sleep aids and cough syrups. And this common allergy medication has a dark reputation in the corner of the internet where the Hat Man likes to live. While it might sound like a gateway to a paranormal encounter, diphenhydramine is a powerful drug. Overdosing on it isn't a ghost hunt. It is an incredibly dangerous, potentially fatal medical emergency. Please do not attempt to summon the Hat Man by abusing over-the-counter meds. The only thing worse than seeing a shadow in the corner of your room is becoming one. When a specific region of the brain called the left temporal parietal junction is stimulated, it can create the illusion of a shadow person. Neurologist Olaf Blanke of the Brain Mind Institute in Lausanne, Switzerland, and his colleagues were attempting to identify the source of epileptic seizures in a 23-year-old woman. They applied a mild current through surgically implanted electrodes to various regions of her brain. Not much happened until the researchers stimulated the woman's left TPJ, located roughly above the left ear. Suddenly, she reported feeling the presence of a mystery person behind her, a motionless and speechless shadow that imitated her body posture and actions. He lay beneath her when she lay down, sat behind her when she sat down, and attempted to take a test card from her when she tried to participate in a language exercise. Now, I get to do something that probably won't ever happen again. I get to share an experience I had. It was April 2012 at 5:30 in the morning, and I could hear my mom upstairs getting ready for work. It was the familiar, comforting sounds of a normal day starting. I heard our two pit bulls, Jasper and Lucky, their nails clicking and clattering against the hardwood floors as they paced with excitement for their morning walk, and everything seemed honestly perfectly normal. Until I noticed I couldn't move. The only part of my body that would respond were my eyes. And then the atmosphere shifted. My brain's alarm system didn't just go off, it screamed. It was that primal instinctive fight or flight response, but with my body paralyzed, flight wasn't an option, and neither was really fight. I was pinned, and I heard it, a laughing. It's hard to describe, but if you can imagine a jagged, maniac blend of Mark Hamill's The Joker and the unhinged cackle from Pink Floyd's Brain Damage, it sounded like that. And I darted my eyes toward the foot of my bed, toward where my computer desk was. And there, sitting in a chair, was a silhouette. A shaggy-haired, shadowy figure rocking back and forth in a rhythmic, terrifying motion and just laughing at something. If you've seen the zombie Billy Butcherson from Hocus Pocus, that's kind of the outline. It was just a ragged, tattered shape of a person. But the shaggy figure at my desk wasn't the only presence. From the floor above me, the morning sounds of my mom getting ready for work were replaced by something heavy, something with weight. I heard the unmistakable sounds of hooves, thick, rhythmic thuds moving from our kitchen to the top of the stairs. It was a massive, rumbling presence reaching the landing. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. Looking at the shadow rocking in my chair, I had a sudden sickening realization that that thing was just a preview of what I was to become if this thing at the top of the stairs caught me. And then the figure charged. That lumbering presence that I felt sprinted down towards my room. In 2 seconds, it cleared the stairs and slammed to a halt just outside my doorway. And it wasn't there to attack me at this moment. It felt like it was there to taunt me. And in my head, I was screaming to wake up. Now, if you've ever seen Goku go Super Saiyan 3, I was matching that dude scream for scream. But I couldn't move. I was pouring every ounce of my will into breaking the lock that I was in, convinced that if I could just scream loud enough, my dogs or my mom would hear me and break me out of this. And then I heard my mom coming down the stairs, and finally this was going to end. But then I heard her walk out the front door. And that was it. I was screwed to this presence. And as soon as my mom left the house, the thing showed itself. It was a giant minotaur goat-like creature. I could tell its bipedal legs were cloven and very furry, but it had the body of a man and then a head like a goat or bull. It was so impossibly tall that even with its neck bent, it still scraped across my ceiling. It was a dry, dragging sound that filled the room. I didn't want to look at it, so I just stared straight up at the ceiling, and then the creature stopped right on my right side, bent down, and opened its mouth. I was struck by an oven-like heat. If you've ever been to Phoenix in July, you know the heat I'm talking about. If not, go turn your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit and then open it and feel that heat hit your head. Now, this figure was toying with me, and I knew he was. At any moment, he could do whatever he wanted with me. But then everything broke when my dog Jasper jumped on my bed to sleep with me for the rest of the morning, and in a heartbeat, everything vanished. Now, I haven't had sleep paralysis since then. My story does have some overlap with the traditional sleep paralysis stories, and to be honest, I am bipolar and I need medication to help me sleep and to help regulate my, bipolar. There are also some details in my story that can be pointed to and say, I think my brain was influenced by these things. You know, the laughing being a mixture between one of my favorite comic book characters and one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs. The laughing figure even looking like the zombie from Hocus Pocus, and the figure that came in looking like a minotaur. At the time, I think my players in my D&D campaign had actually just ran into a minotaur from the abyss, like a Baphomet type thing. So yeah, my brain didn't just invent anything new. It just went into the assets folder of my memory, grabbed some creepy things, and then made them real. But I didn't have Hat Man. Guess he's too good for me. Stood me up on our first and only date, dude. Come on. I don't really think my sleep paralysis was paranormal by any means. I think it was caused by my mental health at the time, medication, and I was facing a lot of stress as a college student. However, this is the reason why I do believe when people say they saw something or experienced something. Because I did experience and see those things while in sleep paralysis. But that doesn't mean they were necessarily paranormal. And to be honest, the sleep paralysis affected me so much that I didn't want to sleep for a couple days. I was afraid to go back to sleep just in case that thing was waiting for me again, and I felt like he was. This actually caused me to take a couple days off from my classes, and I was actually so mentally disturbed I didn't want to do anything. More sore than usual. So when someone tells me that they've had a paranormal experience, I don't doubt them. I don't think they're lying. I just think our perception is a fragile thing. What I perceived that morning was my reality, and it was terrifying. Our brains are capable of playing incredible tricks on us, and sometimes the most paranormal thing in the room is just the person lying in the bed. Let me know what you think about sleep paralysis, and if you have experienced it, if you've seen shadow people, or even if you've seen the Hat Man. And don't forget to like or subscribe, or sleep paralysis Conrad will haunt you. I've been non-sleep paralysis Conrad, and I will see you in the next video.